Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Saturday, ZatZoom. It's funny because I only work on Saturdays now. But for other people, this is the weekend. Morning, Mary.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
All right, we're getting feedback on somebody. This is the weekend. Morning, Mary.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
All right, we're getting feedback on somebody.
Let me make sure I have this.
Sorry, it was me today.
No feedback for me.
It was me because usually when I get in there, it doesn't feed back anymore. It actually has an error message, even though it goes through. But today it went through. So it was me and I fixed it. We're good. It's funny. We're reversed on Facebook. So you guys are to my left right now. And on Facebook, I'm on the left. It's funny. Little things like that. Mary's at the bottom, as usual. That's where Mary's. So what you got going in that diffuser of yours that you just ran over to fill?
I just added some more Valor that I had going before. I think it's going over there. It looks like it is.
I got Valor on my wrists and behind my ears. That's my signature scent. And today I've got Kid Power because I hadn't had it in there for a while. It's like a creamsicle. It smells so good. It smells so good. You know what? I feel like the light here interferes.
Okay, we're done.
There we go. Irene is joining us this morning. Yay.
Awesome.
We have a crowd. Yay. Morning,
Good morning,
Irene.
Irene.
Morning, Irene.
She's still figuring it out.
I got it.
So today we decided, the OCD in me decided that we couldn't end nutrition on just 7 weeks. I needed like 8. I needed something even, but we didn't really have a topic to discuss. So we are calling this Nutrition Potpourri. Anything goes. If you have a question, a problem, a success, or whatever, you can bring that up and we will discuss, right? I did make a couple of graphics to help prompt us into a discussion of sorts. I made a poll on the Facebook group, and only Kathy and I answered it, so that didn't help.
So it doesn't count.
It doesn't count. At least that's what I think it is. I didn't look at it since I didn't look at it this morning to see if anybody else put their 2 cents in, but.
And the poll was what you're doing today?
Yeah, well, I just basically, I got to scroll through all the things. It said, what nutrition questions do you have? What nutrition topic should we discuss? And I added a few, but then people could add their own. But it just was Kathy and I, so we're just gonna not worry about that. And we'll just move on from there. So let's see, I don't need this open. I did have a couple of, like I said, a couple of graphics that I can share. And then we can discuss from there or whatever anybody has to discuss. So I guess what I will do is I will share my screen for graphic number 1, unless somebody's got something pressing they want to talk about.
Nothing pressing.
That's my teacher 5, because you
Just
have
to
to
give
have
a little background on Denise, she is a health and phys ed teacher, and she works in, I should let you just say,
Romeo.
in Romeo, here.
Michigan.
But she deals mostly with kids that are in the grade school level. And I know one of the past things we talked about a little bit was my plate, and she
Yeah, that's what I do in my elementary, because it's simplistic enough that they can understand, and they can, look at their plate and instead of like measuring in ounces or saying it has to be fist size, they know that their fruits and vegetables have to cover half the plate, and that protein covers, a quarter of the plate, and grains covers a little bit more than that. So it's just, I like to keep it simple with them. And the My Plate has been really, really helpful and good. And I have all of the graphics and everything, of course, on one of my boards, and everything I do in my phys ed is all color coded anyway. And so like the red category, which is the fruits, then, I have a rectangular chart that gives the different kinds of fruits that the kids can eat, or the different kind of vegetables that they can choose from. And we always talk about, because the kids always have their favorites, these are my fruits favorites. And then we talk about how we need to vary our fruits and vegetables and not just stick to the same ones, try some new different things. And I just find that the My Plate is very easy for them to understand. And it's really pretty simplistic and easy for adults to understand too. We all take out our plate, whatever size plate we have, whether it's big or small, half of it needs to be fruits and vegetables, and so on. Right. And so it's kind of really, I think it's everyone. Yeah, I think it's just really a good way to kind of start out when you're looking at trying to, eat healthier and pick healthier choices of foods. And then you can just, go from there when you're talking about organics or whatever your choices of foods are or whatever.
Right. So. I think it is very straightforward. However, how many people actually do it? Like, how many people care about that, do about that? Because I think we get lazy, and
I think that people are very lazy these days. Yes. And they don't think about what they're putting on their plate. That's the problem.
Right. How you like this one?
Life expectancy. Yes. Mm-hmm. Isn't that true? That is so true.
It goes to the idea that, we are driven by our senses, and what tastes good, what smells good, and what temptation we have. And we give into temptation a lot of times, unless, well, I mean, there's different types of people. I don't want to throw everybody in the same category, but for some people, they don't want to hear this at all. And other people are sort of listening. Some people have made the turn and are starting to do better with life choices. And then there are the people who have to, because of an illness or chronic disease or something like that, where they've realized that if they want to take their health into their own hands, they got to look at what they eat.
Right. And so then I think that's all part of our life choices, and depending on what our life choices are, before you even get to the My Plate, cutting it up in that portions is, what kind of selections are you making? What kind of selections are you driven from within to make at stores or, fresh fruit stands or markets or whatever, whether you're, like you're doing the whole food plant-based meals, or your specific selections of proteins when you go shopping. So all that has to occur before this, right?
Right. Because there's no
way to take those healthy things and put it into that.
Yeah. And there's no junk food on that My Plate, right? I mean, there could be, depending on how you interpret things.
How you interpret carbs.
Well, and
or how you interpret protein,
Yeah. Right. And also My Plate really suggests, they say it doesn't mean that you have to cut out all of your sugars and sweets because, kids want to have a cookie. It doesn't mean you can't have a cookie. But again, because this is kind of portion, size, it's the same thing. You can have a slice of pie, but you can't eat the whole pie.
Mhm.
I mean, again, it's just kind of portions on your plate, portions that you should be doing.
Right.
And it's easier said than done because a lot of people don't start really looking at things until health issues occur. And then they go, oh my gosh. And we all do that.
Mhm.
Now we need to make better choices even as we get older, and, we need more energy, and we need, to eat healthier. And sometimes during a work day, it's very much easier to run through a drive-through or run by and grab a bag of chips instead
Right.
of grabbing an apple or
Mhm.
or fruit.
Convenience and stress
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
can,
Mhm.
because when you're stressful eating, you want something that's going to comfort you. And nowadays there's a lot of stress in this world, and people
Mhm.
just, go to the refrigerator or the cabinet and they want something comforting. They want something that, is easy and a quick fix. So I've been trying not to have those things in my house because, what did we talk a few weeks ago about? There is no such thing as willpower. There really
Don't
isn't.
make it
If
too
it's in your
convenient.
house, it will end up in your mouth at some point,
Right.
right? I did an
In the
experiment.
house, in the mouth.
Yep. Yep. I did an experiment last week, and I posted the video that I talked about a few weeks ago about whole food plant-based eating. It's called Eating You Alive. And it talks about why whole food plant-based is good for you, why other things are bad for you. Had a lot of testimonies from people who had kind of cured some pretty devastating diseases. So I put it up and offered it on my Facebook page. Not one person commented or even liked. It was like they saw that and they ran the other way. It's like, I am not going to
that
buy
post.
into this.
Because I had the
Was
boys
that-
this week.
Was that the one where you asked about going on Whole Foods and getting off medication? That was on, well, I saw it this morning. I didn't know if that
There
was.
was one on my, it was on my regular page. Let me see if I can pull it up and, I did write something, and it was the day after my birthday because I had two thoughts in my head when I got up that morning. And one was to thank everybody for all the birthday wishes and things like that. And then the second one was to offer that, to people. And so, yeah, I can share my screen with you. I just found it. I think this is it.
Normally I comment and I watch it, but I must have missed it.
Well, okay, so look, not one person liked this or commented, and I put the video, I put that there for them. I'll just read it to make it easier because I don't know how big your screen is. As I begin another trip around the sun, I reflect on where I've been and where I'm headed. Even though I'm retired, I feel that I have much to offer the world and try to stay busy, but focused on helping others. I'm also working on helping myself. I was on vacation for too long since arriving in my new Florida home, and instead of finding time to work on me, I indulged. I had expected to lose weight once I retired and I had more time for working out, but that didn't happen, just the opposite. So for the past few months, I've been working on figuring out what I can do to stay strong and healthy. My weekly Zoom chats are all about being your best self, and I've learned as much as anyone from leading those discussions. One thing that I've re-examined over and over in my life is the idea that you are what you eat. It is 100% true. Since mid-May, we've been adopting a new lifestyle of whole food, plant-based eating. No, we're not perfect, but we're making progress, and our health has improved. We've both dropped over 15 pounds and continue to lose weight and build muscle through the elimination of processed foods, sugar, and most animal products. I feel pretty darn great. Think that whole food plant-based is too drastic for you, that you'd never be able to do it, or perhaps that you don't believe the benefits, so why bother? I encourage you to take some time and watch this documentary. Even if you have a negative attitude, I promise you will get something out of it. I've watched it twice. The second time I made Dick watch it too. It's really a powerful tool. It's a powerful look at the connection between health and nutrition. And if you already have health issues, this is definitely a must see. I hope you'll watch. Let me know if you do. So to me, I put that out there right after I put out my thank you for people, saying happy birthday and everything. So I thought maybe it would get more exposure because there's been a lot more people visiting my site, but I was shocked. I thought maybe there'd be a couple. I thought maybe Kathy would say something, but
I do remember
Shame on
reading it,
you.
but I didn't watch the video because I was out when I saw that. And then I never got back to it because as you're reading, I go, I read that. Why didn't I like it? Because I didn't watch the video yet. That's why I didn't.
For a lot of people, I think what they do is they look at something like that and they go, oh, hell no. Like run away because they don't want to face that at this point. They don't want to make changes.
Or maybe they're not ready to make changes
Right.
yet. And they'll wait till later.
That's the sad part because when are they ready? Usually when something happens. I did send it to my son and I asked him as a favor to me as a birthday present to watch it. And he did. And he goes, so we followed up and I said, well, what'd you think? He goes, well, if your purpose was trying to get me to give up meat, that didn't happen. He goes, but I am trying to watch what I eat now. I am, he's going to make more strides to be careful about what he eats and not just eat junk food. Because, I think as any adult really, we go through those phases where we try and then we stop. And then
because something's not happening fast enough for whatever the reason why.
Or it's too hard.
So you just got to be like maybe anchored to something more important, like for my health, let's say, I want to be healthy because, I want to be here longer. I want to live a fuller life. I don't want to be, 80 years old and just like kind of.
I have a question.
Consistency. It's like getting that consistency, in your life for when you're making your choices and when you're going grocery shopping. And if you like meat, like, your son likes meat, well, then he's going to choose the leaner, fish and chicken instead of maybe all the beef and maybe, choose the organic type that, doesn't have all the bad stuff in it.
I think it comes down to principles. You have to actually know, like Kathy said, you have to have your why, and then you have to have your principles and your rules that you've developed, that somebody else hasn't imposed on you, but that you've developed for yourself so that you have purpose in that. Irene, you wanted to say something.
Just a question. I like beans. I mean, I mostly garbanzo beans. What other protein substitute is out there besides the beans? I know nuts are, but nuts are an iffy thing. It's the beans that, I know canola beans and there are a whole bunch of them, but what do you use for your protein?
We use tofu. Quinoa is also a perfect grain. See, tofu, people get a bad rap about tofu, but you can do it in some really wonderful ways. Unfortunately, one of those wonderful ways is frying it, and I'm trying not to use oil anymore. But we've had some success. If you take the tofu, I have a press for it. So, and you can press it on your own without this fancy press, but I like the fancy press because it keeps the water in it. So it goes into this little box and it has a little spring on it and you press the tofu. So you're getting a lot of the water out of it. And I usually will press it for a couple of hours before I use it, if not more. Sometimes I'll put it in the day before. And so it makes it easier to work with and a meatier texture rather than the moist texture, if you're going to cook with it.
I can't eat tofu.
No?
No, if you've had breast cancer
Mhm.
or cancer, it is off the soy and tofu,
Wow.
the list. So
Yeah.
that limits,
Right.
tofu. Every once in a while.
This plant-based, yes. Because I mean, you can have eggs and things like that that are protein
eggs-
again in
Right. But I think
moderation.
she's asking me how
Yeah.
I get my protein.
Right, because you're plant-based, yes.
Yeah, and eggs aren't, it's considered part of the chicken.
Right. It's an animal.
You're
It's
eating
an animal product.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Um,
and getting rid of all oils, be careful. You can use, not deep fry. I mean, that is a accident waiting to happen.
Mhm.
But don't eliminate all your oils. Use the healthy oils.
Avocado.
That's right.
Yeah,
Avocado,
if we use them, we only use avocado or olive oil. But
Mhm.
basically, the philosophy of whole food plant-based is that oils are a processed food. They're highly processed to get where you are.
avocado is a vegetable.
Well, avocado in itself and
Yeah.
avocado and olives are a great source of
Nah.
fat.
Yeah.
But when you press out the oil, it's been processed. And
Right,
what happens
right.
is you get extreme calories for no nutritional value. So,
Right.
so that's why they say don't use any oil at all, and they want you to get your fats. Of course, you need fats, but through the foods that you eat, through the whole foods.
It's understood.
The list I have here, lentils is another one. They're not quite a bean, but they're like a bean. They're bean-like. Lentils
The
is a good
doctor
one.
recommends lentils. Yeah.
Let's see. They have
Black
nuts,
beans.
seeds,
Yeah.
spirulina, which I haven't used. It says it's a blue or green algae that contains 8 grams of protein per 2 tablespoons. That's pretty good. A mycoprotein is a fungus-based protein. I don't know anything about that one either. Chia seeds. Actually, I keep it on the counter in a mason jar. We have a combination of chia seeds, hemp seeds, and flaxseed meal. And I mix it all up and we sprinkle that on cereal or on oatmeal, or we put it in smoothies. And that's another source of protein, all of those.
Sorry, that's good.
And then some of your vegetables. We had from our thing that we did, broccoli, Brussels sprouts.
Right.
The dark green.
What you have to do for those is though you have to supplement. So there may or may not be enough protein in whatever you choose. Like if you're just having lentils, you probably still want to have a combination of things with the fruits and the vegetables and the grains to make that complete protein. Although quinoa is one of those grains that is a complete protein all by itself.
Well, and a half a cup of black beans, according to one of our last talks when we talked about protein, there's 22 grams of protein in a half a cup of black beans. So that's a higher.
It's mostly, if you will notice, if you read the labels, that a half a cup of the beans is high in protein.
Yep. My problem is I can eat beans. Dick won't touch them. Although he's starting to, add them in. He's had some digestive issues where the beans just killed him in the past and they told him not to eat them. So he's afraid of them. But I'm like, well, you're not eating all the other junk. You should be able to eat these. And he made a stew or a soup the other day and he actually added beans to it, not like probably half as many as what was the recipe called for. But so he's making strides because I think beans are a really good way to go.
Yeah, I do too.
And then there's got something called seitan, which is a wheat-based protein. We've had that before through Purple Carrot, and it's difficult to work with, I think, to cook it the right way and the right consistency, but I'm not going to give up. So that'll be one thing I try. So yeah, it is. I always have that struggle of what should I have as far as protein? Because that was my theory this morning, that I've been getting more hot flashes. And my theory has always been that chocolate, sugar, and wine were making me have hot flashes. And I have not had a lot of those things, right? I have a glass of wine, but I have like a 3-ounce glass now if I have it with dinner. And as far as chocolate, I have a sugar-free chocolate square after dinner. But like the rest of my diet has really cleaned up. So I'm like, why am I still getting these hot flashes? Because I really thought it was related to what I was eating. So then I was having more of them last night. And I thought, what is going on with my diet that I'm having these hot flashes? And I think this is my latest theory that I'm going to check out, is that maybe I'm not getting enough protein. I don't know. So it's a constant struggle, you know, and trying to figure things out. But that's where I'm at this week. I'm going to see if adding more protein, because I haven't had enough protein in the last couple of weeks. So maybe that's the answer. I don't know.
The other thing, you're a woman, and women go through menopause.
Well, but I've been going through menopause for almost 20 years. So I'm done with it. I am done with it.
I take that.
Yeah, I started just before, or just around the age of 40. And I took birth control for a few years. I don't know, 5-6 years, just to alleviate the hot flashes. And I didn't get them at all when I was on the birth control. But when I started doing essential oils and started doing a natural lifestyle, I felt hypocritical to keep taking the medicine when I knew that there's, you know, bad effects that can come from staying on birth control. So I went off and I thought, well, maybe it's been long enough. Nope. They came back with a what?
Vengeance.
Vengeance. That's the word. That's the word. And they made my memory bad too. See? So I've been trying to figure out, you know, through diet, like what's going on here, because I think for menopause, it should have been over a long time ago, but anyway, enough about me. You know, we were talking a little bit about, processed foods and staying away from that. And I created this video. I was looking at, not video, graphic, because I was looking at some different quotes. So don't eat anything your great-great-grandfather wouldn't recognize as food. And the quote went on
Nothing
to
packaged.
talk about, you know, like, what is that yogurt the yogurt sticks? What are those? Yoglo or
Yogo or something like that.
yeah, Yogo.
Go.
You know, some of those
Go-gurts.
Go-gurts, yeah. Tons of things like that, you know,
They're sugar.
it's not really food when you think about it. It's just a bunch
Sugar.
of garbage. Yeah. I want to find that quote so I can tell you. What else did he say? Go-gurt, breakfast cereal bars, non-dairy creamer, you know. So a lot of the stuff that's in the grocery store, your ancestors wouldn't recognize as food because it's totally processed and created in a lab. Not a lab, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, it's chemicals. And there's very little actual food in there or nutrition in there. So
GMOs.
Yep. So stay away from that stuff. I think we probably agree on that. Shopping the perimeter of the grocery store, right?
I just said that to her quietly while you were
yeah.
I use it as my exercise. I walk up and down every aisle just to get a little extra exercise. And when I go down the cereal aisle, I have to say I'm appalled.
Oh yeah, there's so much sugar, and the video that I mentioned before, the documentary, they talked about how they process the heck out of these cereals and then they add back chemical nutrients. So you think you're getting, fortified with, 8 vitamins and minerals, but you're really not getting
A natural
good,
vitamin.
a natural vitamin
They
or
strip-
good quality. So
Yeah, they strip it of all that, the natural stuff, and then they put back in the chemical stuff.
Well, look at Raisin
And
Bran.
control exactly what they're adding in, so they can specifically say, yeah, it's 8% because I know I added it back in there.
mhm.
Well, look at Raisin Bran. Now, I don't know if those are raisins or not, but they're sugar coated. They're sugar
You
coated.
tried shriveled up something,
Yeah, and they're sugar coated.
right?
Or the cereals with the strawberries, Special K, we've got strawberries and blueberries, and those aren't the blueberries I know of. I mean,
Nope, I just put the real blueberries or whatever the fruit is on that
I know,
good cereal.
Yeah.
I know.
There's a few cereals out there if you look carefully, like the Ezekiel cereals, and there's
Yeah.
some that are, a lot more expensive for a smaller box.
Mhm.
That you can get. Grape nuts are not too terrible for you, but they're not very
Those are-
palatable. I throw those on top of other things because I usually have the einkorn flakes if I have cereal, and then I throw some I throw a bunch of stuff on top. I throw the grape nuts on top and walnuts and fresh fruit and top it off with oat milk. So
Now I eat yogurt. I eat it in the morning,
mhm.
and I put blueberries, chia seed, and walnuts
Mhm.
in it and
Okay.
mix it up, all fresh. And I eat the Greek fat-free yogurt,
Mhm.
or low fat. I should say the low fat.
I had
But it keeps me full all day long.
Mhm. That it does.
Oatmeal is still good.
Oh, I
but,
love oatmeal.
but not the oatmeal that comes pre-packaged with
Mhm.
all the other, like the flavors.
Mhm.
I actually did a research to look, because people said don't eat, even if it's just like the original in the package, they said don't eat that because it's been pre-processed. But when you look at the nutritional values, they're pretty much the same. So, but I don't know if I would buy quick oats versus whole oats. Why are they quicker? What have you done to them to make it quicker to make those than to
Well,
make
there's
the
the
pot?
stone cut. Is that steel cut?
Steel cut,
Steel
yep,
cut.
and those are good too.
take
but-
a lot longer to cook, but they're
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
But you can make a batch of oatmeal and put it in the refrigerator. I mean, that's what we do. I think that's what Dick was having this morning. He just pulled it out, took a scoop out and microwaved it, which I don't love. I try not to use my microwave as much as possible, at least not for me. My dad, because he doesn't really care too much. But if I'm making him something for dinner, a lot of times I'll put on the convection oven in there. But I tried to avoid the microwave.
Mhm.
It's convection.
But with oatmeal, it's kind of hard not to use it to heat it back up. I guess you could.
Take almond milk, heat up the almond milk, and then stir in the oatmeal. Doesn't take long.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
use almond milk.
I do too. That's usually mostly what I use is almond milk.
I've been
good.
using oat milk lately. I like the oat milk.
Oat milk's good for you too. I put that sometimes in my coffee,
I've never had oatmeal.
but we haven't,
milk
we
before.
have.
Uh,
oat milk
I-
and milk.
I like probably because I like almond milk so much.
I've had oat milk, and I get the unsweetened oat milk, and
Right.
I didn't care for it.
I don't notice much difference if I'm putting it in cereal or oatmeal or smoothies. you know,
Yeah, I don't just drink it plain.
I don't drink it
Yeah.
plain. I never drink it plain.
Oh, I couldn't drink any of that stuff plain.
Well, I can. I like almond milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Unsweetened one? The unsweetened?
Unsweetened, yeah.
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 I accidentally bought the sweetened and I'm like, oh, this tastes weird.
Mhm.
I picked it up by mistake and I'm like, I like I've cut sugar out of everything, maybe not processed food if I eat that, but I don't put sugar in my tea or anything, and I get unsweetened milk and unsweetened.
I put
Yeah,
in
once you've
almond
weaned
milk.
yourself from sugar,
Mhm.
like it's super
Yeah.
sweet when you start
Yeah.
using it again.
Right.
Like I don't
Yeah,
like
it's
any
like,
kind of
ugh.
sweetened creamer. I remember being at work and having to go grab coffee, and if I ran out of my milk or my creamer or whatever I had at school, I asked to borrow the secretary's, and she always had one of those, fake creamers with like flavored sweet. I don't like flavors in my coffee, and I don't like sugar in my coffee. And I'd be like, "Ugh, I guess I'd rather not have coffee."
I'll use almond milk in my coffee, unsweetened almond milk. And then I'll sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon in there
Oh,
too,
me
because there's
too.
good benefits to cinnamon. So
Cinnamon is the first thing that I put in my coffee before usually I put some type of a creamer. And then I've had a lot of people that say, well, then it just floats onto the bottom and it gets all clunked up. I said, no, if your coffee is really, really super hot and you just sprinkle the top,
It'll
then
dissolve.
it just melts in there. And then you put your cream in and it's like a little.
What I do is I
Heaven.
heat the cream up and I add the cinnamon. What I used to do was grind my own coffee. So when I used the grinder, I would put the cinnamon in and it grind everything together. And then
what a great idea. That is a great idea.
But before you brew your coffee, if you're using oat milk or almond milk, heat the oat milk up a little and then add the cinnamon and stir it up and then add your coffee.
But nowadays you're using turmeric.
Stuff.
Yeah, I don't use cinnamon. I use turmeric.
She uses the golden turmeric from Young Living with the mango flavor.
I love that.
Makes
I
my
mean, I
blood
just add
pressure
it to
go
water and
very
drink it.
high. It does cause my blood pressure to go up.
Does it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I'm
interesting.
drinking it now, so I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'll just make sure the day I go to the doctor, I don't
Yeah.
use it.
Right.
What I do is what I'll do on the day I go in the morning, so I just won't have
Wait until later in the day.
turmeric.
And I usually make sure when I take my Agilies that I take that probably mid-morning. I love my Agilies. It's got really good turmeric and copaiba and all that good inflammation stuff.
Well, I have a medication it's all natural. And one of the ingredients is turmeric, and I take it in the afternoon. I don't take it in the morning. So.
What do you think about this? Do you agree?
More than 95% of all chronic
I
disease
agree.
caused by food choice, toxic food ingredients, nutritional deficiencies, and lack of physical exercise.
That about sums it up.
Yeah, 95% sounds extreme, but I don't know. I think I may not agree with the 95%, but I do agree that that's
All those
probably the
things.
root cause.
That's,
for
yeah,
everything.
that's a lot of things in there, so that it's probably not that far off.
Right.
Well, what was it?
Look
Hot
at what
dog?
people are using in their homes as well. You know,
Hot dog takes 35 minutes off of your life every time you eat a hot dog.
I saw that on Good Morning America this morning.
35 minutes off your life.
It was a big deal on the hot dog thing. Oh
well,
my
then
gosh.
talk to those guys that, what did they have, those hot dog eating contests?
Yes.
Nathan's hot dog. Yeah. How many?
Oh my goodness.
And how many hot dogs do they eat? So you
Yeah,
probably won't live past
They probably
30.
do it yearly.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and they practice too.
Oh my gosh, how terrible.
They don't just do it on 4th of July.
Yeah, let's have a hot dog practice.
Yeah. I gotta do my, because there's all kinds of contests like that with food eating, which cannot be
right.
healthy for you.
No.
Oh,
Binge eating. Because
And
you
then
know
they go
that
and
as
throw up
soon as,
after that.
you know, as soon as the interviews are over, they probably go in the bathroom and purge anyway. So
oh, absolutely.
that's not good. They
Oh,
probably
Give me one hot dog and I'll purge.
see, I love a good
Remember
hot
the
dog,
last time I
but
had a hot dog.
Me either.
I like a hot dog when you bite into it, it crunches.
yes, yes.
Me too.
Okay.
And you can't find
Yeah.
them here.
Barbecue.
Oh,
burn.
yeah, yeah.
But then that burned part isn't supposed to be good for you either.
Right, I was
because
gonna
that has
say.
carcinogen.
Well, it, I don't know if, like, coming from New York City area, it wasn't like it was burnt. It was the type of casing that gave
Yeah.
the crunch.
Was
It
crunch,
wasn't burnt.
It wasn't burnt, no,
Yeah.
no. And I remember when we moved out into the Chicago area, they didn't know what we were talking about, a casing? They had no Oscar
Right.
Chick house dogs from Jersey Shore. That's what we always loved.
Yeah,
They were
Mhm.
good.
I
Yeah,
don't-
but you know, I've given all of that up. I'm not a saint.
Neither.
I do try. I still have things from time to time. You know, we have eggs from time. Dick probably has eggs once or twice a week. You know, he's not gone cold turkey with the whole thing. And I'll have them once every couple of weeks. And if we go out to eat, we'll usually order fish. Because I would rather be eating like wild caught fish, but when you go out to a restaurant, you really don't know what you're getting. So
Unless you ask, and then you don't know if they're telling you the truth or not anyway, but you hope they would be honest about it.
right.
I asked, and I like salmon, and I'll ask if it's wild caught.
Mhm.
And if it's not, I won't eat as much of it.
Mhm.
But they're I don't know. It's hard to find wild caught salmon.
Unless you make it yourself and get it
Right.
fresh or get it from the whole food store. Like,
Even the grocery store sells farm raised.
If you go to the frozen food section,
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
can get it.
Costco, I think, has wild caught.
Yeah,
Yeah,
frozen
in Publix,
food.
I've seen,
yeah.
but you
And the
have to
whole
look.
food store has wild caught.
Yeah. Whole
Yeah.
Which
Foods
one?
has
We don't
wild
have
caught.
Whole Foods next to us, near us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
See,
don't.
we're
No, we have
lucky.
to go
It's
to-
it's far. Now, I don't know about Fresh Market, what their.
I haven't. been there.
They will tell you, they're upfront about it. Publix last week had wild caught, and where you can get wild caught frozen fish is at Sam's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I order from them. I was a member, I dropped my membership, but you can go on to Instacart and order from them.
Mhm.
And that wild salmon is good. It's
Mhm.
Alaskan wild.
Yeah, I think
They're-
I've gotten it there too,
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
but I have seen it at Publix. And if you look in their frozen food, that's the only place I
Yeah.
could find the wild caught was in their frozen.
Expensive.
What else? What other food issues? I was writing some things down. Food choice. I already talked about those. Temptation. That's the big thing. You know, even when you know better and you want to do better, temptation falls into the whole scheme of things.
Right. Well, and I think sometimes with temptation, you know, we beat ourselves up a lot when we're really wanting to stick to this and do really good. And we have something that might be a little bad. And then we just like I know I do. I'll just be like, why did I do that? Why did I make that bad choice? oh no, I'm falling back into my old habits. You have to give yourself a little bit of a break. I mean, you just can't be perfect all the time. And you have to, I think it's healthy sometimes to allow yourself to just go, okay, that probably wasn't the best choice, but I don't do that every day or every week or whatever. It's okay. Cause I think we have a
It's okay, 'cause I was
tendency.
at that wedding and I needed a piece of that wedding cake.
Yes. I mean, sometimes it's just, you just have to give yourself just a little
Little
bit of a
breaks.
break.
The problem, the thing that you can do is, yeah, you take that cake or the cookie or whatever. But the minute you turn around to eat a meal, you get right back on that
Right.
pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than say, well, I'll do it tomorrow, maybe the next day.
Yeah,
You've
I
got
botched
to
today.
discipline yourself.
Yeah, we don't want to do it. I botched today, so it's a free for all day, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
Like you said, the next meal. You're
right.
exactly
You
right.
just go back to, making your good choices.
Climb back on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just, having things around that are healthier choices. So if you do have a sweet attack or something, is there something that you personally made, or is it a fresh fruit, or is it something, some type of snack that's already cut up and ready? We had talked about that before, Linda, having something ready. So
Right.
instead of reaching for the piece of cake or the bag of cookies, maybe you
Mhm.
have like a little fruit salad going in there or in your fridge, and you want to put a scoop of yogurt on it, or, whatever that might help to, decrease the craving of actual
Planning ahead.
planning
Oh,
ahead.
yeah. I
Yeah.
always have my little Pyrex dishes that I cut up that I have vegetables and fruit. And so I can just grab one of those and
Or put them in
have my,
Pardon
yeah.
me, Irene, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
put them in the little sandwich bag or the snack bag.
Right.
I love baby carrots. I mean, they're baby carrots, whatever.
Mhm.
And I have a big bag of them and I just grab a handful and that satisfies that crunch that I need. And it's also, they're slightly, it depends on the time of year, but they have a sweet. The other thing is I'm not real fond of it is celery, but when I want a crunch, I buy the celery hearts and have them cut up in the refrigerator.
And the pea pods too. I love those.
Oh, I can't-
And so I always have a glass container of those too, because I like to keep my things in glass. It seems to me like they last a little bit longer. And
What about those snap peas or sweet?
oh yeah,
peas?
that's
Those are
what,
good.
yeah, the snap peas.
The
Yeah.
snap
Those,
peas.
yes,
they-
because they have a real good crunch to them.
Yeah, and
I love
they
that too.
taste good too. They're not, you don't have a bitter taste. to it.
Where do you find them?
Well, we're lucky here. We have Nino Savaggio's and we have Vincent Joe's
Yeah, and
and
they usually have.
they
them in there.
have,
So just
we're
wash them up
lucky.
and you can.
Yep. And just have them
I
in
like to
there.
add those to fruit, to, like a veggie tray if
Yeah.
I'm doing veggies for
I've
parties.
seen them at Publix, Irene.
Really?
And when you go into the produce section, all the refrigerated section on the left, I think it's prepackaged, the pea pods.
No, I'll have to,
Yeah, the snap peas are really good.
Yeah, the snap
oh,
peas are
wait, maybe
super
they're,
good.
well, the other thing that is healthy that I like is sauerkraut or kimchi.
Oh, yeah.
And that,
Really.
that it's healthy for you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
It
good
is.
for your gut biome.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
That's what they told us at that, the place that we went to in Mesa, the All Natural Cancer Institute in Arizona. They suggested eating, that every day. There's sauerkraut or kimchi or something. along
Right.
those lines,
Mhm.
to have that fermented food. Really good for your gut,
You can make it yourself. It's,
right?
It's cool.
Anybody got any good healthy recipes?
I'll have to put some in here from my vegan cookbook that we got from Mesa. I mean, we made a taco meat using different nuts. And if you're doing that, I mean, we put it in our That
Food
would be
processor.
not, well, yeah, we had to put it in the processor. But when you're eating nuts with that, they always say to get the raw nuts and then you have to soak them for a couple
Oh, yeah.
hours before you grind them up in your food processor. And we added, I think we added almonds, walnuts, and then we put in, sun-dried tomatoes and some other things to get the color of ground meat. And it was really, and we added taco seasonings in there and tasted just like taco meat. It was awesome.
That sounds good.
I'll have to put
Mhm.
that recipe.
Put that recipe in there. I
Yeah,
would
put,
do that.
yeah. Share it out on whatever. I'd love to try
I mean, you
that.
could heat it up on the stove. We put it in our, like the dehydrator thing that we have to warm it up. And we put it at a certain temperature that we were allowed to have it because we were following a raw vegan diet. But if you're not following raw vegan, you're just doing a plant-based, you can heat it up on your, in your pan and be nice and warm and taste even better.
On the documentary, there was a recipe that I'm still trying to perfect. And I don't know if I did it wrong or if it just needed a little bit extra, but it was like how many people love the macaroni and cheese in the blue box, the Kraft macaroni and cheese. I had it as a kid. My brothers would eat a whole box of it. My kids loved it, but it's a totally vegan one that's made with cashews and nutritional yeast and a couple of other healthy flours like a chickpea flour and stuff like that. And so I made the recipe and then tried it, but I don't think I did it quite right. I didn't let it boil and thicken enough. So I'm going to try that again. But the recipe had you make like a batch of it and you keep it in I have like a mason jar kind of thing so that you can just scoop out a little bit, add it to milk, and then heat it up, get it thick, and then you can pour it over pasta. So I'm like, I love anything. I love macaroni and cheese and I love pasta. So if you pick, I'm going to get a chickpea pasta and put this over top of it and I'll let you know how it comes out. But
I have a vegan powdered, it's called Nuchi, Noochi. It's cheese. Now, I haven't done anything with it. I have bags of it. And I would be happy to bring a bag over because I don't use it, but you may like that. It's they use it for grilled cheese sandwiches and
Wow.
yeah,
you have to look up the recipes online.
yeah.
But,
I try to avoid that stuff only because it's not a whole food. So that's the difference with
it's plant-based.
well, it is plant-based, but it's been processed. Otherwise, it wouldn't be
Hang
what
on
it
a
is.
minute. Let me look at the bag. Let me
It's
find out.
nutritional yeast.
Is
Yeah.
it nutritional yeast? Yeah.
Yes.
I don't
And
know if
so
it's
I'm not
totally
opposed to
nutritional.
it.
I've been looking at it.
Yeah. I've been trying to do trying to the whole thing about whole food plant-based is that you avoid the processed foods. And a lot of vegans are very, very unhealthy because they are just at any cost avoiding animal products and then having all of these substitute products that are made from other ingredients, even if they are whole, plant-based and
Here's
avoid
what's in
meat,
it.
they still would they're still processed. And so anything that's processed is not legal on a whole foods plant-based diet.
It's nutritional yeast flakes, 100% tested and free of candida albicans. No egg, gluten, milk, nuts, shellfish, soil, wheat.
What else
where
is in there besides, is it just nutritional yeast?
Nutritional yeast flakes.
That's the only ingredient, huh? Cool.
But it- Now this is one bag. So it's a 1 pound. Now I'm one person. I'm not going to eat a pound of this stuff.
I have been checking that out. I haven't bought it yet, but I've been checking it out.
I buy just regular nutritional yeast and
Yeah, I have
add it
that.
into things.
Yeah,
I
that's what
sprinkle it on
this
my
is.
popcorn. I can't get enough of it. I love it so much.
Really
I
good.
made cauliflower popcorn with that.
Yes. How do you do that?
Little, you get it little teeny pieces about popcorn size and with the nutritional yeast on. I have to look up the recipe,
Do you
but that's
cook,
all it was.
do you cook the
was-
cauliflower, or is it like steamed, or is it raw?
It was cooked, baked, like baked.
Mm.
No oil, nothing.
Right.
Just
your
kind of
cauliflower?
put the
Okay.
nutritional yeast all over it, mix it up and stick it on a
Yeah.
pan,
That
a
sounds good.
roasting pan, and cook it in the oven for, I don't really, I'd have to look the recipe up, but
Right, right.
Is
And
that
it
Right, that's
wasn't
your
bad.
homework. I want to see that recipe posted.
Yeah.
it's like, okay, it wasn't really popcorn, but it wasn't bad.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
and it's raw cauliflower that you?
Well, I
ordered on?
started with
said-
raw. I'm not quite sure if I cooked it. I would really have to, you have to cook it some way or to get
Yeah.
the, the
Yeah.
yeast to
flavor.
stay on it.
Yeah.
So, but I
Hmm.
would have to check that out. I
Yeah.
mean, look it up, see where I can find it.
That
Right.
documentary has a cauliflower recipe that you make like a little bit of a batter and bake the cauliflower, and then you mix it with your sauce of choice, a hot sauce or tamari or barbecue sauce. And it's like they call it cauliflower wings.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
They sell that at Publix already made, but I'd rather make it myself.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Wow. See, we
Oh.
could just have a conversation. We don't have to have all this research, Kath.
There we
Because
go.
when
This is
people,
even
when
better.
people join in, we get lots of information.
Yeah,
It's
I
great.
like this.
Yeah. So
I don't-
I want to thank everybody for joining us, and also say that next week, Kathy pointed out, is the Labor Day weekend. So we're going to take the week off. So we won't be back next Saturday. It'll be 2 weeks on the 11th. And we may or may not be talking about exercise.
Well, send us some topics.
Yeah.
Maybe put it
I'll
in
be
living
I'll
well
be
life.
exercising in my gym classes.
There you go. Yeah.
School starts on the 30th.
Yeah. So you'll be going all
Yeah.
strong already by then.
Where do you teach?
I teach in Romeo, Michigan.
Michigan.
I teach elementary physical education.
Oh, God. What a sweet thing to do.
Oh, it's the best of all worlds.
So my daughter Bobby, who is also a health and phys ed teacher in the high school level, went to school with Denise's son, and my son Ricky went to school with her other son. So
Mhm.
Mandy and Bobby, we've known them for years.
Years.
A
Yeah.
few years.
And one of her sons were together in Cub Scouts, right?
Mhm,
Cub
right.
Scouts.
Well, maybe we can just have an open discussion about exercise, and we can invite Denise to come back, and
There
my
we
daughter
go.
will be here, and maybe Bobby will join us, and we'll get
That
some.
would be great. Bobby's also a certified yoga instructor.
Mhm.
So maybe she can,
Which is awesome.
would be awesome if she could do a little thing on, talk to us a little bit about yoga too.
Yeah.
We'll have to
Yeah.
see.
Yoga's
Another
yoga's
free for all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Sounds good. Well, thank you all for joining us. And we'll see you back in 2 weeks, hopefully.
Okay.
Thanks,
great.
ladies.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you, lady,
Thank you.
Denise.
Thank
Yeah.
you for having
for
me.
hosting.
Bye.
Yes. thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay well.